Hey everyone, let's jump right into this explainer. You know that instant magic when you type google.com, hit enter, and boom, you're there, right? Well, we're going to uncover the invisible fraction of a second security checks that Google Chrome performs right behind that ubiquitous little padlock icon in the corner of your browser. Have you ever really thought about what happens when you press enter? It feels totally instantaneous, right? But behind that single click, your browser is doing some serious heavy lifting to make sure you're safe. Here's the roadmap for our explainer today. We'll start with the journey of a click. Then look at proving website identity, establishing a secret language, moving data securely, and wrap up with the ultimate weakness. All right, section 1, the journey of a click, from a cafe Wi-Fi to Google. Let's set up a totally relatable real-world scenario. You're sitting in a cafe, sipping coffee on public Wi-Fi. You type your search and you press enter. Simple enough, right? But let's actually trace that path. Your data goes from your browser, through that public cafe Wi-Fi router, off to your internet service provider, bounces across countless internet routers, and finally lands at Google's server. Now here's the catch. At every single point along this journey, someone could be listening in. It could be an attacker lurking on the exact same network, a compromised router, or even a malicious hotspot just pretending to be the cafe's Wi-Fi. So, the absolutely crucial point here is that before Chrome even thinks about sending your sensitive search query across those danger zones, it demands absolute answers to 3 very specific security questions. 1, am I really talking to Google? 2, can anyone read this communication? And 3, can anyone modify the information while it's traveling? Only after definitively answering these 3 questions does your browser actually allow the connection to proceed. Which brings us to section 2, proving website identity. Because, trust requires proof. Let's explore exactly how Chrome tackles that first question and verifies that the server it found is actually Google and not some malicious imposter just waiting to steal your data. It all boils down to this basic question. Ask yourself, would you hand your house keys to a total stranger without asking who they are first? No way. Of course not. You'd want to verify their identity. Chrome follows exactly the same principle. Before handing over anything sensitive, it demands concrete proof of identity from the website. To prove who it is, the server responds with a digital certificate. You can think of this like a digital passport. Chrome demands to see this certificate, rigorously checking if it's expired, if it's been tampered with, or if it was actually issued by a trusted certificate authority. If literally any one of these checks fails, Chrome throws up a massive warning screen. You've probably seen it before, that scary "your connection is not private" warning. Well, that's not a bug. That is Chrome actively refusing to compromise your security. Now, what's really fascinating here is the stark contrast between how easily a phishing site can copy a logo versus the absolute impossibility of faking cryptographic proof. Copying Google's colors and layout? Incredibly easy for a scammer. But copying Google's trusted digital certificate without their private key? That is practically impossible. Chrome doesn't trust how a website looks. It trusts the math. Moving right along to section 3. Establishing a secret language via the TLS handshake. With identity verified, let's see how Chrome and the server manage to create a completely private conversation while sitting in a crowded public space like the internet. If you're trying to have a private chat in a crowded room, speaking loudly obviously doesn't work. You need a secret language. This encryption pivot happens in 2 distinct phases. Phase 1 is the secure introduction, using public key cryptography. This allows Chrome and the server to securely establish a shared secret session key right out in the open without ever exposing it. Then Phase 2 kicks in. Once that shared secret is established, they switch over to blazingly fast, symmetric encryption for the actual ongoing conversation. This guarantees that massive amounts of data can be encrypted super efficiently with almost zero delay. Okay, on to section 4, moving data securely. We're talking confidentiality and integrity here. Now that our secret language is established and the keys are set, let's dive into what happens when your data actually starts moving across those internet routers. Protecting confidentiality is great, but as this quick banking scenario illustrates, simply encrypting data is completely useless if a hacker can still blindly alter the encrypted message while it's in transit. Imagine sending a command to transfer 50,000 rupees to account A. But an attacker secretly manipulates the data stream, and suddenly the bank receives a command to transfer 500,000 rupees to account B. Even if the attacker can't read the actual data, modifying it is absolutely disastrous. To stop this, Chrome acts kind of like a tamper-proof parcel. It uses TLS integrity checks as a digital security seal. So it doesn't just encrypt, it adds a layer of protection that ensures if even a single bit of data changes on the network, the browser immediately rejects the altered data. Because privacy without integrity, it's basically incomplete. So what happens when you visit Google again tomorrow? Well, just like checking into a hotel, every single new browsing session gets a brand new key. Think about it. Your hotel key is valid only for your current stay, and it's totally useless tomorrow. In the exact same way, Chrome generates fresh, temporary keys for every single session, meaning a compromise today won't expose your data from yesterday or tomorrow for that matter.
Notice that there isn't just one single algorithm protecting you. Rather, Chrome relies on an entire cryptographic toolbox. It seamlessly combines digital certificates for identity, public key cryptography for secure introductions, symmetric encryption for fast data transfer, hash functions for integrity checks, and certificate authorities for overarching trust. Chrome bundles these multiple cryptographic building blocks into one impenetrable system that operates in under a single second. It's really kind of amazing.
But that brings us to Section 5, the ultimate weakness: human behavior versus mathematics. Up until now, we've talked endlessly about how ridiculously strong this system is. But let's flip our perspective for a minute. Think like an attacker and see how this all builds to a pretty surprising conclusion. Since modern cryptography and TLS are, frankly, way too computationally difficult to break, I want you to take a guess at what the weakest link actually is. If you literally cannot break TLS and you cannot forge Google's certificate, where do you attack? The answer? It's the user. It's you and me. Attackers find it so much easier to just manipulate human behavior by tricking you into ignoring Chrome's explicit security warnings, downloading some sketchy malware, or typing your password into a fake login page than they do trying to break the underlying math. Why break the door down when you can just trick someone into handing over the key, right? And that leads to a massive misconception we really need to clear up right now. Because phishing sites can easily obtain a valid HTTPS certificate, the crucial takeaway here is that the padlock protects the communication channel, not the intentions of the website owner. The myth is that the padlock means a website is completely safe and legitimate. But the reality? The padlock simply means your connection is encrypted and the certificate is trusted. It does not automatically verify that the person running the site is actually honest. You still have to pay close attention to the domain name yourself. I really hope this explainer has completely transformed how you view that tiny padlock in your browser. We've looked at the DNS lookups, the certificate validations, the TLS handshakes, the symmetric encryption, and those all-important integrity checks. It proves that browser security isn't just about incredibly complex math working in the background. It's about empowering you to make safe, informed decisions online. So, here's a thought to leave you with. The next time you see that padlock icon, will you remember the fraction of a second cryptographic shield that put it there?